Hey everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us as always is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, coming to you live from the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California. We are so glad you decided to make us a part of your day.
Also here, writer-director John Schnepp.
What's up, everybody? I got my
Nice
t-shirt,
shirt.
son!
Nice
What's
patch.
Up? Yeah, patched in, finally, 2XL.
Also here, one half of Schmoes Know, Christian Harloff.
What's going on? I don't have an AMC shirt, but I got a cool Han Solo
love that
shirt.
shirt.
That's
That's a great shirt.
Pretty badass.
I like that.
Yeah.
As most of you know, following the tragic death of actor Paul Walker, the production of Fast and the Furious 7 was put on hold. The film was reportedly about halfway done filming when the accident occurred. Yesterday, director James Wan took to his Instagram account and announced through an image that the film has started shooting again. John, what do you think about the hiatus the film was on and the restart of shooting?
Well, the hiatus was understandable. I mean, we were faced with a very difficult situation halfway through filming, you know, when the whole thing went down. So, I mean, you have to feel for, obviously the big tragedy is the passing of Paul Walker. Now, that being understood and that aside, you got to feel for the guys trying to organize putting this movie together, really put them in a precarious situation and how to move forward with this. I'm actually amazed a little bit how fast they were able to get everything back on track. Because you think about this. Think about the busiest day you have in your schedule, where you've got like 8 appointments you got to make, and if one thing gets nudged out, everything goes to hell. Well, that's what like shooting these movies are. They have these things scheduled, like hour by hour, day by day, and then as soon as that movie's done, you've got 300 creative people that need to then disperse and go off and do all these other movies. The fact that they were able to reassemble everybody this quickly and get everything moving again is just outstanding. Now, there are still people I've heard, you know, talking about this, and we've addressed this before, that, you know, well, first of all, there's the complete moronic idea that, oh, they should have just not made Fast 7. That's just stupid. Yeah. Then there was the other notion of, you know, they should have done this, they should have done that. I'm still of the belief that it might have been a really nice thing to do to bring in another actor who was, say, friends and like tight with Paul Walker to pick up his role for Paul in Paul's memory and continue on. But I'm also very good with the decision they did make and decide to, like, say, let's figure out a way to shoot 1 or 2 extra scenes utilizing CGI or whatever to retire the character and then move the movie on without him. I have no problem with the way they just decided on. I'm very curious to see how the way it turns out. But yeah, overall, stunned that they were able to this quickly pull everything back together. I'm impressed. Schnepp, what do you think?
Well, I mean, as we were talking about, movies are shot out of order as well. Like, you know, they're gonna like make sure, like, hey, if we're shooting in the police set, let's get all those scenes. Maybe there's a beginning, maybe there's an end scene. They try to get all those before they move to an entire different location.
Yeah.
So we also don't know how many scenes, even though they said they were halfway done shooting, they might have only had 1/5 of Paul Walker, or they might have had 4/5 of Paul Walker.
Yeah, we don't
done.
know.
So we don't know the use of stunt doubles, body doubles with a CG mask. I mean, we've come so far that if they're able to do that with sound-alikes for a couple of scenes and able to rewrite a couple of those sequences and move some scenes around, I think it is I'm really happy that they were able to, like with Heath Ledger with the Parnassus film, they were able to save his last performance by doing a couple of things. I can't say I like that movie that much, but I'm hoping this movie they're able to reconstruct it in such a way that it is an honorable way to say goodbye to their pal. So yeah, it's pretty amazing they were able to get it done so quickly, but I'm happy they're on track.
Christian?
Yeah, it's also a big thing when you think about James Wan, because he's running, he's coming into this franchise now, and he's like, oh, okay, I'm moving away from all the horror stuff, and now I'm getting myself into this big franchise that's successful. I know I can handle it, and then this tragic thing happens.
Right.
And as James Wan, I think from that aspect, you have to take a break, because it's like, I want to show respect also to these actors. I know it wasn't solely his responsibility, you know, his decision, but when the meetings are being held, he's like, yeah, let's take the break, because it gives him time now to work with his writers and to give his cast. Because you don't give them a break. You talk about emotions, and an emotion's not good for the screen. So it was crucial that they took this break. And I also think that, again, bringing up another movie like The Crow, to where they move stuff around to fit the loss of an actor, I think this was something that's going to work out in the long run. I am also glad they're retiring the character. I'm sure they'll do it in a respectful way, and it's just sad that it happened.
You know, it's fun. I'm glad you brought up that point because it's easy for us and guys like me to get focused on the logistics of this, but you're right, there's an emotional element to this. You know, not all the time. A lot of people think, oh, you know, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans must be really tight because they're in movies together. No, not the case. But Vin Diesel and Paul Walker were tight. Yeah. They were very tight. And the emotional impact, I've read several articles about really how devastated
Tyrese broke down at his grave.
Tyrese, yeah. I mean, they were so tight. Paul Walker was so infinitely likable and really did make a connection with a lot of the guys he worked with. And you're right, I think we lose sight sometimes of the emotional impact of it all. All right, what's next?
The 2012 surprise hit film Chronicle has reportedly landed a new writer for its sequel. According to reports, Fox has brought on relative newcomer Jack Stanley to pen the new script after a very public breakup between Fox and original Chronicle writer Max Landis, who had previously mentioned that director Josh Trank would also not be returning due to his Fantastic Four commitments. Schnepp, can a new Chronicle movie succeed without Landis, Trank, Michael B. Jordan, or Dane DeHaan?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm a little irked about everything I've read about the Chronicle sequel. I think they should have let Max Landis continue with something that he created. He had a brand new story, a new direction for Chronicle 2, and instead the studios just wanted another Chronicle. Like, do the same movie again with a new cast. Right. Let them find the little alien hole and do the same, kind of the same thing again. And I don't know, when you're making a sequel to a very successful original film, which took a spin on the superhero franchise, I was refreshed when I saw it. I didn't expect to like it even. I loved it. And to see that the disrespect that they showed the original, it's like, you know, it's like saying to Stan Lee, like, hey, thanks for SpiderMan, now go away. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to let you develop it over 10 years. We're just going to say thanks, give it to somebody else. So, I mean, that's my opinion on it, unless they're going to try something totally different. If they're just doing a rehash of the original Chronicle as a cash grab for Chronicle 2, I think it's really stupid.
Christian?
I agree. I mean, listen, I've heard over the years that Max might be a difficult person to work with here and there. That does not, but John's absolutely right. This was his thing. You cannot, and the fact that they're not bringing back any of the core actors for spoiler reasons we can't say, but you know, there are certain things that happen in that movie that you saw Max's stamp on in the writing, and it's just not going to work, and it's a cash grab. It's all it is. It's a cash grab, and that's going, well, the superhero genre works. Now we're going to bring in, because it doesn't matter who's writing it, it doesn't matter directing. They like the first one. As long as we make it look the same way, then they'll dig it, and we won't dig it, because there was something special to it because of the way the team worked. It's all about team. You have to have the right team in place. That's not to say that a new team couldn't do it. Right. But the odds are against them.
Yeah, you know, and I'm notorious. I'm going to go a little bit against you guys on this, but ultimately I'm going to end up in the same place as you. I'm of the belief that whoever pays for it owns it. that's kind of always been my belief. Right. If you pay the bills, sure, you make the decision. And, you know, Fox has a responsibility ultimately to, you know, make the film that they think will work. Okay, granted. Do I think you need Max Landis there to make it successful? No, I don't. Do I think you need Josh Trank there to be successful? Nope. Do you need Michael B. Jordan? Do you need Dane DeHaan? No. However, I'm with you, Schnepp. The part that concerns me is the whole idea of, instead of the philosophy that Landis wanted to bring to it, which was, now let's continue this story. Let's see what happens next, because I wanted to see what happened next.
Exactly.
This notion, if the reports are true,
right,
that Fox instead just wants to say, let's have a new group of kids find the strange alien thing that's going to give them powers and how they deal with it and whatever. It's like, really? You're going to give us the Hangover 2 of Chronicle?
Right. And they set it up. And the way they set it up at the end of the first movie, they're leading you on. You're going to get this second part of it. So give me the second part.
Where did it come from?
Right.
Like, who's he going to have? Are there others like him out there now? Who's he going to run into? That's the story I want to hear. Now, if we find out in a year that is what Fox is going to do, that they are continuing on the story, then great, fine, let's all sit back, have a bag of popcorn and enjoy. But if they really are just going with repeating the first formula, that would be a shame, because you're right, it was refreshing. And not just as for the superhero genre, I was so done with the found footage movie.
Right.
So over found footage movies. And that one came along, I'm like, That was actually pretty good.
You got to keep floating the camera around with his telekinetic powers.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
Because it was all horror up to that point. It was all horror movies, and that was the thing. You're like, oh, another horror movie, another horror movie. Wait, what about superhero? That you said refreshing. It's new, and you're like, okay, great. But that's why I think that it was Max Landis behind that had that had these ideas, and so you could bring in a good writer. But I agree with you. You got to continue where we were.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then Schnepp, Christian, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
A new red band trailer for the upcoming comedy Sex Tape with Cameron Diaz and Jason Segel has just hit the web. Sex Tape follows a married couple who try to spice up their sex life by recording themselves only to have the video get out. Sex Tape opens in AMC theaters on July 25th and also stars Rob Lowe and Rob Corddry. Christian, buy or sell this new trailer for Sex Tape?
When I had heard about the premise of this a while ago, I was like, I probably would have sold it, but I saw the Red Band trailer, and I have to tell you, buy it. I'm going to buy this trailer because I'm not a huge Cameron Diaz fan. I think there's certain roles that she works in, and I think the other Jake Kasdan movie she did, Bad Teacher, when she did that trailer was actually really good, and I ultimately didn't really love the movie. But there's just something with this talent, and they cut a great trailer for me. And I thought that the jokes worked. I love Rob Corddry. I love that line, the Lincoln line in there. The 3 hours was so funny. It was great. What nailed that line, and I was like, okay, if this is the writing that we're gonna get, and it doesn't look too over the top, and I love the iCloud stuff. I love the cloud stuff because it's like they didn't just say, oh, it just got dumped in the internet. Now they're like big celebrities. It could lead to that. Yeah. But in the beginning, it's just the iCloud and the fact that the mailman got it. It's hysterical. I'm on board.
I completely, shockingly agree. Yeah. I like the sound of the premise of the movie. I'm a big Jason Segel fan. In the right role, I have been a big Cameron Diaz fan. You know, The Mask, she was great in it. I thought she was great in Best Friend's Wedding.
Yes.
She's hit and miss, though, whatever. The posters I've seen have been very uninspired. And then this trailer came along. And I got to tell you, I smiled from start to finish. And you're right. Who has sex for 3 hours?
So funny.
That's the length of the movie Lincoln. You had Lincoln sex.
You Lincolned it. You Lincolned it. That's going to be a thing. That is going to be a thing. You Lincolned it.
I thought it felt fresh. It felt kind of different to me. I like seeing Rob Lowe in there, too.
Yeah.
The interaction with it, and I like the notion because I was wondering, is it just going to get out on the internet? No, it's actually to a very confined, like 10 or 15 iPads that they gave out as Christmas gifts. I think this sounds great. I loved the trailer. Suddenly now I went from being mildly interested in Sex Tape to being really excited to see it. Anyway, Schnepp, what did you think? Yeah, well, you know, like I was like on a Cameron Diaz jag last week, like, counselor, this and that. She can't act. Get rid of her. And then this, I'm like, all right, I take it back. Keep her in comedy. I mean, something about Mary just reminded me of all the things that she's done. Even Charlie's Angels. She's like, she has this glow about her, which it's really fun. Jason Segel's always great, and Rob Lowe's on a wild run. I can only say if you haven't seen Behind the Candelabra, just see it for Rob Lowe. Did you ever see Rob Lowe's run in Californication?
Yes.
Oh my God, he is
hysterical.
So different for him.
Very raw.
Californication.
And it looks like you're going down that route in this movie too, kind of, because it was like out of nowhere they're like blowing lines, and I'm like, where did that come from? What were you doing? I was distracting my boss by doing cocaine. Yeah, it's really. I like the tone of it so far, at least from the trailer. All right, what's next?
It's been announced that production on the new romantic comedy Tumbledown has begun. Deep in the Maine woods, Hannah, played by Rebecca Hall, is unable to move on after the death of her husband, an acclaimed musician and the subject of a biography she's struggling to write, when she meets Andrew, played by Jason Sudeikis, a brash New York academic who has a different take on her husband's life and death. The unlikely pair must collaborate to craft the famous singer's story and begin to write the next chapter in their lives together. John, buy or sell the sounds of Tumbledown? Sell.
This is a horrible sounding. I mean, the core of the premise sounds mildly interesting. It reminds me a little bit of this old Sally Field movie called Kiss Me Goodbye. I don't know if you remember that, but it has a little bit of a feel about that to it. And I love Rebecca Hall. I became a huge Rebecca Hall fan. Remember Vicky Cristina Barcelona? Yeah. Everybody, all anybody wants to talk about Vicky Cristina Barcelona is the threesome scene, you know, with Scarlett Johansson and Penelope Cruz. Understandably so. Right. Sure. But to me, Rebecca Hall stole that movie from these three huge, giant actors, and I thought she stole that movie. I've liked her in everything I've seen her in, and I'm a big Jason Sudeikis fan. I mean, I could watch a 5-hour loop of him doing the Running Man of What Up With That from Saturday Night Live and just laugh the entire time. I love him. I think he's great. But for whatever reason, nothing about the description of this inspires me. Obviously, once some more descriptions come out, we see a trailer, that could all change. But for now, it's a sell.
I'm buying it. I'm buying it mostly for the reasons you gave on the positives, and because look, we don't have a lot of good romantic comedies these days.
True.
And one of the reasons is because they were throwing the same formulaic stuff at us, like Reese Witherspoon in this and Katherine Heigl in that.
Yeah.
Now we get Rebecca Hall and Jason Sudeikis, who are likable people and have a fan following and can really pull off good material. I like the idea. It's simple and it's a back and forth. It's like that movie that just came out, Drinking Buddies, recently.
Right, that she did with Olivia Wilde.
Yeah, I dug. It was Olivia Wilde, Sudeikis' wife, and he had a small part in that. But those types of small comedies and things like that, I like those type of movies, and I think that we need more of them. And this sounds like that, so buy it.
Schnepp?
I'm gonna hesitantly buy it for that reason alone. Like I feel like if they are able to capture that, like When Harry Met Sally, but like a more of a realistic, grounded thing, like it's When Harry Met Sally, when somebody died and they had to write a book. It's like, without like a big, broad kind of hangover comedy, but more of a realistic adult drama with some funny moments in it. I don't even know if it's gonna be a comedy. It might be straight up, I
think they said
romantic
comedy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's like, I'd like it to be more of a realistic. Well, I guess we'll see when we see the trailer. But for right now, I'm gonna hesitantly buy it.
Going on the scene about Jason Sudeikis and the smaller films, I know I bring this up all the time, but I got to be the champion for this film. Jason Sudeikis did this little comedy about 2 years ago called A Good Old Fashioned Orgy, and he did it with Lake Bell and a couple of cast members from The League, and it is hilarious. So if you have not seen A Good Old Fashioned Orgy, it is on Netflix. Jason Sudeikis is the lead guy in it. Watch it. It's really quite good. All right, what's next?
It's being reported that actor Ben Stiller is in talks to star in the upcoming film I Am Chippendales. The film charts the improbable rise and fall of Steve Banerjee, who went from pumping gas in Culver City to running a high-end nightclub that evolved into Chippendales. After hiring a New York choreographer to polish the all-male dance troupe, Banerjee became wildly rich as well as unreasonably competitive and paranoid. Stiller would play the part of Banerjee's partner and choreographer Nick DeNoia. Schnepp, buy or sell the sounds of I Am Chippendales?
I'm going to sell it. I just keep hearing I Am Chippendales. Like, there's a picture of Ben Stiller and some kind of I Am Chippendales. I'm going to sell it. I just, let Magic Mike rock the sequels as far as this Chippendales refreshing men stripping thing. I know everyone's jumping on that bandwagon, but this one it just sounds like very uninteresting to me, so I'm going to pass.
Christian?
I'm selling it also. I'm not the biggest Ben Stiller fan. I mean, if they go down the road of like a Boogie Nights or something, maybe, depending on how it's directed. But if it goes more on a Zoolander type of role, then no. I know a lot of people love Zoolander. It wasn't my thing. And I think that, I don't care. Magic Mike was something that Soderbergh, and it was based off the real events in Tatum's life and the way that there was a real story. I know this is too with the Chippendale stuff, but yeah, I agree with that. I don't care.
I'm gonna buy it.
Really?
The fact that it is based on a true story and stuff like that, and the fact that my wife goes to Chippendales about 17 times a year. But no, also, see, this to me has more of a feel. What was that Mike Myers thing? Club 54, was that
right,
it?
Right.
Yeah,
Studio
to me,
54.
It's Studio 54, thank you. The sound of this kind of has more of that kind of a feel to it rather than, say, like a Magic Mike. And the fact that it is based on a true story, I'm interested, and I do like Ben Stiller. I didn't love Stiller's last film,
Mitty.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. But I thought there was a lot of really interesting stuff in Mitty, and the fact that he directed it was quite inspiring too. He's not directing this, but still, I've got some hope for this. So for now, I'm gonna say bye. All right, folks, we reached that part of the show called Mailbag. Now, before we get into it, I want to let you know that we do this show live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you are watching us live, you can tweet in live questions. We're going to leave a little bit of time at the end of the show to take your live tweets. So you can tweet to us at AMC Movie News. So you can start sending your tweets in. Ashley will pick some out at the time. But for now, it's mailbag time. If you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us 24/7 at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Every day, we take a couple questions from the mailbag. Ashley's got a few of them pulled out. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Langley M. Neely writes, is Arnold Schwarzenegger's solo film career dead? Sabotage, The Last Stand, Escape Plan, all flops. Do you believe his misconduct and infidelity in his private life and the way he handled it finally shattered the notion that Hollywood and audiences don't care what you do as long as you churn out the cash and put butts in the seats? The ultimate test will be his involvement in Terminator Genesis and any other formerly successful franchise he tries to revisit.
Let's get this out of the way. Nobody cares if Arnold had an affair with his maid. Nobody cares at all. And let's be careful. Escape Plan was not a flop. I mean, Escape Plan only made $25 million in North America, but worldwide it made, I think, close to $140 million, which is way beyond what its production budget was. It was actually a profitable movie, not a hit, and you want to be popular in North America if you want to have long-term success. But Escape Plan was definitely not a flop. The Last Stand deserved better. I really liked The Last Stand, and it did not do well. Sabotage is absolutely tanking it. I don't think it's a matter of, Schwarzenegger had an affair with his... I think it's more a matter of Schwarzenegger had an affair with the governor's mansion in California, and he was gone out of movies. You can't just... When you're an aging star like he is, and every star is going to be an aging star at some point, you can't then just step away from the career for 10 years and then expect to just walk back in and have everything blow up again. I mean, that's just unreasonable, and I think that's what we're seeing right now. I think, there's a whole generation of film watchers right now who are completely disconnected from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Even when you put out a good movie, like The Last Stand, people didn't go see, which is really unfortunate because it was a good film. With the real litmus test here, though, is going to be, like you mentioned, it's when Terminator and Conan come up. Because remember, Sylvester Stallone stepped away for a few years from his bread and butter franchises. And he tried to he said, I'm done with Rocky and I'm done with Rambo. Okay. And he did a whole bunch of other things and they all flopped. Copland was pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Copland was pretty great. But they basically flopped. And so what happened? Then he returned to his bread and butter, and all of a sudden he's Sylvester Stallone again. Vin Diesel did the same thing. He walked away from Fast and Furious. He said he wasn't going to do more XXX. Did a bunch of films, it didn't really work out. Suddenly he's in Fast and the Furious again, and everything's happy. So really what we're going to see is where are people with Arnold Schwarzenegger. We'll really find out when the new Terminator comes and when the new Conan comes anyway. Yeah, and that was the point I was going to make. It was definitely the Stallone comparison, but I think the difference was that Stallone was doing direct-to-DVDs for a bit. He was just gone for a while. Yeah. So, but that was good for him because he was really gone. I think I agree with you also. I liked The Last Stand because The Last Stand to me was fun. It was a fun action movie. Yeah. And I didn't like Sabotage. I didn't think it was fun. But what Arnold did, that was the first movie he came back with, which is The Last Stand. I think that was the mistake. Because he shows back up. He should have showed back up with a Conan or Terminator, because then you go, oh, now Arnold's back. Then they start to support him more. Because that's what Stallone did. Stallone came back with Rocky VI, Rambo, boom, boom, Expendables now. And so it doesn't matter if Bullet in the Head flops. It doesn't matter if these smaller films that he does flops, because now he has those other ones that have proven to be profitable. Yeah.
Well, he did side skimp in with the Expendables. He did that one church scene with Bruce Willis. That was before The Last Stand. So but that was I'm still governor.
I'm here. If you need me, I'm here. Just give me a call.
I give you 5 minutes.
Come on. Come on.
But we should all do Arnold. Yeah, you know what? I don't think his career is tanking. I think it really literally is like a series of bad decisions. Like, you're right. If he came back with Terminator Genesis, like, I'm done being governor, now I'm back as the Terminator, 100, 200 million, bam, explosive. He's back, not The Last Stand, shubbly cop in a corner, like fighting a guy with a car. It's like with Johnny Knoxville. I just think it was like, I mean, that's not how Schwarzenegger should have come back. But, I don't think his career is over at all. He's doing Terminator Genesis, where he gets to play his own age, and there's going to be younger T-800s, so he's going to be fighting himself. Like, it's going to be a pretty cool movie, I think, and it's going to be a big hit. They've got out one of the directors from Game of Thrones. He did a great job with Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, he did. Yeah. And and Schwarzenegger, you're going to be reading my script, Santa Claus versus the Martians. And you're going to be Santa Claus.
Is that Jingle All the Way, Steve?
I'm writing it right now. It has nothing to do with Jingle All the Way. Arnold Schwarzenegger is Santa Claus with giant guns.
After watching Sabotage, there's a scene in Sabotage, if you haven't seen it, and let's face it, none of you have seen it. There's a scene in Sabotage where Schwarzenegger's just in the gym pumping iron. And I'm like, Oh my God!
Yeah.
He got back on the horse steroids, and he looks amazing. Now, after seeing that scene, I'm like, bring on King Conan. Bring on King Conan. I'm ready.
I really want him to do King Conan. I don't want to hear about it again. I've been hearing about it
forever,
for 20 years.
I want to get a Milius version of that, though.
Right? Come on. Just bring him in as a consultant, because it's like those guys rocked it.
Yep.
Conan the Barbarian, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, you were just born in like 1983. Watch Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
It's great.
Where Schwarzenegger, what, 43 minutes into the movie before he has his first line?
Right. The cries and lamentations of their women. Just the soundtrack alone. Basil, come on.
All right, what's next?
Jonathan Fung writes, love the show, watch every day. Following up on Mailbag this last weekend, do you think it would be possible for Marvel to rent Spider-Man for a movie or two? The price tag should be a lot lower since Sony will still get the profits from the standalone films. While Spidey wouldn't add to the Avengers 2 or 3 box office, a Captain America / Spider-Man movie would up the stakes in the game of chicken they are playing with WB.
No. You know, somebody gave me a suggestion that we need to put. Now, look, this is a repeat question. We've had this question before, but it comes up so much that I feel that we should address it now and again. The same, you know, you listen to ESPN Sports Radio in Los Angeles, people keep asking, can the Lakers win the championship next year? They'll ask that question 10 times every single day. I think we can bring up this question every month or so. But somebody gave me a suggestion that we should put together a series of videos, like FYI videos. And we just answer the most commonly asked questions. Whenever somebody asks, we just refer them to that link. And maybe we will do that in the near future here. But here's why no, Sony will never rent out Spider-Man to Marvel, nor should they, nor would they ever. Because you're talking about a couple different things. Number one, Avengers 2 and the new X-Men movie have not even come out yet. And you would not believe how many emails I get from people confused about, wait a minute, Quicksilver's in this and he's in this. Are we going to see now an Avengers next movie crossover? Because there's just way too much confusion. No. Second thing is, the Marvel or Sony is crafting their cinematic universe that they want to have nothing to do with Marvel's cinematic universe. Because you know what's going to happen. You put Spider-Man in Captain America, then for every Spider-Man movie moving forward now, they're going to say, well, why isn't Captain America coming to help him? Why isn't Iron Man showing up and all this kind of stuff? But then also, the bigger issue that I've explained before is this. Say Sony, okay, lends out Spider-Man to Marvel. Who has control over Spider-Man? Who has control over what Spider-Man says and does in that movie? Because there's no way Sony's going to let Marvel decide. Because what's Marvel going to do? Suddenly, Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, shows up in a Marvel, movie, whether it's Captain America or Avengers or whatever, and New York gets blown up. Okay, well now in Sony's universe, does New York have to be blown up? Are they going to try to keep a consistency? And I've said this before. This is what it'll come down to. Okay, we got the scene now between Spider-Man and Captain America where Captain America is going to save the girl from the bridge. No, says Sony. Spider-Man should be saving the girl from the bridge. And Spider-Man should be saying the heroic line. They're going to fight back and forth. And then Sony's going to say, and we want 50% of the box office. Why would Marvel give up 50% of the box office? It's just, it is an absolutely impossible scenario. Won't work, won't ever work. You're not going to see one. And if I was in charge of Sony, no way would I rent him out. And if I was Marvel, no way would I pay the money to rent him out. They don't need him. They have a billion other characters that they can use. Sony's quite happy in their universe with what they're doing. They don't want any confusion, no crossover. They want complete independence. So, no, anyway. Schnepp, how do you see it? Would you rent him out?
Absolutely not. And here's another couple of things. I love that Marvel doesn't have Spider-Man because that means I get a Spider-Man movie the same year I get a Captain America movie.
Yes.
Marvel is its own company run by Disney and all these, so they're all about like, we're going to release 2 giant tentpole movies with maybe one little sprinkly film. So it could be 3 a year. But because other companies own Marvel's characters, which in the comic books are crossed over all the time. Spider-Man's hanging out with Captain America and having a sandwich and laughing it up. It doesn't matter. Movies, cool, keep it separate. I say, I as a fan now get like 9 Marvel movies every year. Something I never imagined would be possible. It's so awesome, I can't
Nor would it be possible if they were all under Disney's banner.
That's why it's like Fantastic Four and X-Men. That's awesome. Fox, keep making them. Just make better movies. But I'm just saying, they've got that. Then we're going to see an X-Men and a Fantastic Four movie, maybe X-Men, Fantastic Four crossover.
Yeah.
That's awesome, and that's coming up too.
X-Force, Spider-Man, Venom, Sinister
Deadpool.
Six.
Yeah, I mean, that's what. So Spider-Man and his whole little universe, which has Black Cat, it has Scarlet Spider, it's got Spider-Man 2099. There's a lot of other areas they can go with the Spider-Man universe without having to, tap into Marvel. And Marvel has, like you said, a billion other characters that they don't need Spider-Man. And it's only good for Marvel in the end run. And it's only good for Disney in the end run. Yeah, let Sony put out a Spider-Man movie. We can then create a giant Spider-Man ride at Disneyland. It doesn't matter. We own the character.
Yeah.
Just the movie licenses are out to these guys. Ultimately, it all helps the giant core of what the Marvel, the bubbling Marvel monster, which I wanted to just keep going forever. So I totally am completely happy with Spider-Man never being crossed over or lent or borrowed. I just think it's like people should just stop thinking about that and just try to imagine like what DC is at, where we really literally have no movies coming out from them at all this year involving superheroes.
Wouldn't it be great if a couple other studios had the characters
it would
and
be
could actually
fantastic.
Moving forward?
I would love the idea of Warner Brothers, like, let's give this one company all of our Vertigo line. Let's give this other company like our entire World 2 or whatever they're, Planet Earth 8 with a weird drunk Superman or whatever. I'm just saying, it's like, let's get some of that happening, man.
I think there's a 2% chance. Very, very small chance. The only reason why is because of all the rumors that had gone on with, at one point, they were going to put like an Oscorp building or something in the Avengers. Right. That was going around that there was talks between Marvel and Sony to do so. That's why I put the 2% in there, because who knows if the talks came. But listening to you describe Sony and Marvel sitting, it sounds like it would be easier for the Republicans and Democrats on Obamacare. So it's like there's too much stuff going on. And you also think that Marvel is going to say they want Spider-Man to bomb. They want it to bomb. They don't want the Sinister Six thing to work, because eventually they want the rights to come back, like it almost did after the Raimi fiasco happened in 3. Right. So they're going. So that's why I don't think that it's going to happen, because they're like, let them do their thing. Eventually we'll get him back, because they do want to make the Spider-Man movies, regardless. If they have all these different characters, Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Right. He's the iconic character. But no, I don't think it's going to happen, but there's a slight chance.
See, people would always come to me with that whole Oscorp building thing. And there was talk actually at one point of Hugh Jackman walking by in a Wolverine mask in a scene in Spider-Man, just in the background. But there's a big difference between, let's throw in a cute little Easter egg with, let's create this merging, let's start with a merging with putting an Oscorp building in the background. So, I don't know. Anyway, folks, gone on about that. I'm probably never going to answer that question again. All right, we said we leave a few minutes, and we are, for you guys, live questions on Twitter. So right now, Ashley's on the Twitter stream. So Ashley, what questions do we have there?
Nick Wagenki writes, are movie trailers becoming too popular? Seems like they almost overshadow movie releases these days.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
No. I just think there's too many of them. Like Spider-Man, you talk about Spider-Man again. Like just before the show started, I saw on my phone, Spider-Man International trailer number 3. Just stop. Yeah. All I need is a teaser and one big trailer, especially for a movie like that. Like if you were gonna just, like when Kick-Ass came out, like the original Kick-Ass, if they want to throw a couple more trailers to really get the word out there, I get that. But something like Spider-Man and the Avengers and stuff, just give me a teaser, full trailer, show me what the story is about, that much, and then I'm done. There's too many trailers, but I think they are.
Currently across the wire right now is a new South Philippines Spider-Man 2 version trailer. Yes.
Stop.
Right?
Snap.
Yeah, I'm with you. There are a few too many trailers out. I mean, I'm cool with 3.
Yeah.
Like let's
for
do the
me.
teaser. Let's do trailer number 1 like a year before the thing comes out, and then 3 months before it comes up, little refresher with some new shots, new scenes. Drop some stills. Like I was happy to see that close up of Dahan as the Goblin. I was like, that's cool. They're going with like a mutated face, not a weird mask where you can't see anything. It's like, I was cool with that. The multiple scenes now where I'm seeing, oh, okay, now I see what happens to the Rhino. Like I'm putting it all together because I've seen too much. I agree. It's a little bit overkill, but I think in the defense of someone like Sony putting out too much for Spider-Man, I think they really want people to know, no, this movie's going to be awesome. You really need to see this. I think that's why there's so many multiple different viewing options. But
making their budget higher, though, again, with the marketing, it's
going
up and up.
The thing with I know this. Sony is very proud of this movie. I know that.
Right.
And they are going all out for it. And I agree with you. I think 3 trailers is the sweet number. I would not release a trailer a year in advance. I would probably publicly flog studios that would put out a trailer a year in advance. I'd say
Superman. Remember that? That was like a teaser. That was cool.
Maybe like like a stinger that more like announced like a 15-second, whatever. That I would say I won't count that as a trailer.
Right.
But your first minute-long teaser trailer, then you have I'd say about 4 months before a movie comes out, your first 2-minute, 20-second trailer, and then maybe about a month before it comes out, version 2 of the trailer. I think that's all you need. Because you're right. The thing about SpiderMan 2 is that they've put out so much, and it's all looked great.
Yeah.
But they've put out, so much that you're right. It feels like quilt work where I'm starting to piece together the movie in my head. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
No, I don't
But it
think
feels
so.
like I'm piecing together the movie.
Yeah.
But having said that, it is all making me pretty damn excited.
It looks
for the
awesome.
movie.
I mean,
Of course. I mean, if you're a fan of the material, I mean, look at Captain America. They released like 10 minutes of that movie at one point. They didn't need to. The movie's phenomenal, and if you watch it, you probably get excited. But for me, one of the things, and I guess can you say a spoiler of what happened in the Avengers?
Yes.
Okay, so like at the point when the Hulk saves Iron Man at the end of that movie,
Right.
that was in the trailer. It
Right.
didn't need to be. There was no reason for that to be in there. I was already going to see the Avengers, and I knew when I saw the movie and Iron Man was falling from the sky, I go, Hulk's gonna get him. It took it away from me, and that's what I'm worried about them doing. Is they show too much that I lose that excitement that I do when I'm watching it in the theater.
I think they do a thing like I was a little irked about that too, but there were so many other cool scenes in Avengers that they didn't show, like Hulk bashing Loki.
Right.
There
That was the
enough-
end. But that was the end scene. That was like the last thing. Iron
Right.
Man is falling from the sky. Robert Downey Jr.'s contract
But
is
you
ending
don't
soon.
know. But when we were watching the trailer, you don't know that that's the end scene. For all you know, when you're seeing that in the trailer, that could be in the first 5 minutes of the movie, right?
But it hadn't happened yet in the movie. So when I see him falling from the sky, I'm going in my head, well, I remember Hulk saving him in the trailer, and it hasn't happened yet. Oh, it's going to happen now.
Right. But it is hard to argue, because you mentioned, and I say this all the time, they didn't need to show this in the trailer. Avengers went on to become smashing the record for the biggest box office opening weekend in history.
Right.
Hard to argue with their methods.
And it was cool when you saw that in the trailer. You're like, awesome!
Yeah.
Do you think it would have hurt?
Iron Man.
You think if you took that shot out, it would have hurt the box office?
I agree with you that no, but they did it, and it worked.
And it worked.
So it's hard, but I agree with you.
Right.
I agree
But
with you.
by
100 million less.
by that argument, Phantom Menace worked. Phantom Menace
The
made
marketing
money.
for Phantom Menace.
Right.
Look, I've said this the whole time. I still believe, to me, the best trailer I've ever seen was that first full trailer for Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
fog.
Yes.
It's an amazing frickin' trailer.
Yep.
To one of the biggest pieces of garbage and abominations
Most disappointing,
we've ever had. Most
destructive,
disappointing
emotional
film.
flop.
Oh.
Yeah,
But a great trailer, and it worked.
Yeah, that's
Who's
true.
Darth Maul? That double lightsaber. What's
Right.
going on? Phantom Menace.
Right, we're
I
just-
can't wait. A year later, crying in a corner. What happened? Yeah, just freaking out.
All right, we've got overtime. I said a couple, so let's just take one more quick one.
Okay, Joe Hollenbach writes, what would you guys say is the best ever sequel? For me, Aliens.
Man, I don't know how you argue against Godfather 2.
I do.
Empire Strikes
Empire
Back.
Empire Strikes Back. That's my only argument.
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2, The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Right.
Rocky 2.
Rocky 2 is amazing.
Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock.
Yeah,
is one of my
Spider-Man
faves.
2, I still think the best of the franchise. This may sound really weird. Rush Hour 2. I liked Rush Hour 2. I thought Rush Hour 2 was really good. Star Trek 2.
Right.
I mean, you could go with the second Lord of the Rings. I mean,
Yeah,
Towers.
second Lord of the
Yeah,
Rings.
Towers.
Matrix 2? Not really.
No, not really. I
Yeah.
think you'd have to come down. For me, it would come down between Godfather 2 and Empire Strikes Back. It would be one of those two. I mean, the second Lord of the Rings film was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
There are a lot of great sequels.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, that'll do it for us, guys. We've run all out of time. Thank you so much for joining us today. First of all, I want to thank those guys who are sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting to my immediate right from Schmoes Know, Mr. Christian Harloff. Christian, where can people find you online?
You guys can go, if you want to check out my Captain America review, you can subscribe on my YouTube channel at Schmoes Know.
And sitting right beside him, of course, the one and the only writer-director, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you?
You guys can find me at Instagram and Twitter, just at John Schnepp. And I'm working on those Philippine drawings. I've been getting a lot of emails like, when's Schnepp going to get those drawings? And I'm working on them. I'm going to premiere like 5 of them here on the show. I'll give them to John, even if I'm not on. You'll see them like later next week, at least 5 of them. But
Show off the patch again.
check it out, yo. So become a fundraiser. Go to schneppzone.com/SupermanLives. Pitch in, become a finishing funder. Help me finish this documentary with some cool scenes.
And of course, our lovely host today, Miss Ashley Mova, who I almost caught off guard there. She was stretching the background. Ashley, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Ashley Mova. Happy April Fool's Day, guys. I hope you guys all fool whoever you want to fool. I wanted to trick you guys, but I didn't even think of anything, so great.
And of course, you can find me on the various social media networks at John Campea. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Don't forget, lots of great films playing in AMC theaters everywhere right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, movie ticket information. Click the like button. Make sure you become a subscriber. And if you want an audio-only version of this show, look in the description of the video and you'll find links to our Stitcher and our iTunes. So thanks a lot for joining us. My name is John Campea for AMC Movie News. And until next time, bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.